Hello Linux fans, it's an exciting day here at Linux Quest because there's a brand new KDE Neon and I've got a fresh install here. Everything you're going to see as it's laid out is as you'll see it when you install it, and I'm going to leave it that way for the duration of the video. We're going to step through what's new in KDE Plasma 13, and I also kind of want to give a mini review on KDE Neon and share some of my thoughts since I've been using this for some time now. So let's jump over here to the kde.org page, and of course I'll have a link to this in the video notes down below. Highly recommend you check out this starting video here of Plasma 5.13. Well done, and that'll give you lots of insight into what's going on. So I want to talk about several things here, but before we kind of get into all of the details of what's new, I just want to kind of give you a quick analogy. So I'm sure everyone watching this has heard of BMW. They make high-performance cars, sedans, and motorcycles, and they're known to be the ultimate driving machine. Now, if you take a look at BMW and what they do, especially with their 3 Series and their 5 Series, they make lots of incremental changes and refinements and improvements to those two particular models. But you don't really ever see in their bread and butter cars, if you will, these drastic off-the-wall changes to, say, the body style and the overall layout. I mean, you can take a look at a BMW that's 10 years old and see similarities design-wise to what you see in a brand new 2018 BMW 5 Series, for example. What they do is they make refinements, engineering changes, performance changes, to the engine, to the platform, drivetrain, things like that. So I'm going to kind of compare KDE Neon to that, because what I'm seeing here with the update in Plasma 5.13 mated to the KDE Neon base are refinements, and I'm perfectly fine with that because the previous version of KDE Neon, for the most part, was very, very good, or still is very, very good. So let's go through these refinements, and you'll hear me say that probably too much through this video, but that's what lots of these new features are. So the first thing that's up on the list here is Plasma browser integration. And you set that up through, say, Firefox, Chromium, or any Chromium-based browser by essentially going into their add-ons. So here in Firefox, we're just going to simply go to add-ons, and we'll scroll down here to see more add-ons, and just start typing Plasma. And as you do that, you'll finally get to Plasma integration. Click on that, and within a second you'll have this installed. And now what this is going to do for you is allow you to see things like downloads from within the browser. So we're going to pop over here to the KDE Neon page, and we'll go over to download. And here, this is, by the way, this new version was released yesterday. It's 2018-06-14. So we're going to go ahead and save that. Now what you're going to see happen here under the notification area is you'll see a little animation with a circle that says, hey, you've got something downloading. If you click on that here, you'll see a large pop-up showing you what it is. And then you can get more information here by clicking the little arrow. So you'll see that that's taken place. Now normally you're going to see it up here in your browser, and I'm not sure what in the world's going on. Their servers must be hammered here. Because a minute ago this thing was downloading, and I downloaded it once just to see how everything was working, and this thing was done in like 6 minutes. So I'm not sure what's going on here, but at any rate you get the idea. So from here you could go ahead and stop that download. Now where this comes in handy, maybe you've got Firefox or Chromium or whatever it is minimized and you're over here doing something, you can just quickly go up and access it and take a look and see. You'll also have this animation showing you that, hey, you've got activity still with the download. So we'll go ahead and stop this. So that's certainly a nice refinement. Next up on the list, and we'll go ahead and close this out, is the media player control. And this is integrated with the media player that is kind of your default, the way I see it or the way I've used it. So for example, VLC. So what I did here was I went ahead and downloaded a song here. So I have no idea what this is. We're going to go ahead and open this up. Okay. groovy. All right, so we'll go ahead and minimize that volume a little bit there. But what I want to show you is you get media control right here. So you get a large pop-up showing the album cover. I think this is French. This probably says something like greatest hits. Okay, no, I'm kidding. But so here you've got your controls. It's a good thing I'm not a comedian. I'd be starving, right? Here's all your controls. Fast forward, rewind, pause. You can see the information. You could pin this here. So again, a really nice refinement in that it's working with VLC, which is essentially a third-party app. Now it's integrated into the desktop. So you kind of see what's happening here. You're getting tighter integration with the other applications that you interact with. Then if you throw some other things into the mix, which we'll talk about here in just a minute, you start to see where this total integrated solution with everything you interact with within the desktop environment is starting to come to life. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on from there. We'll close all this down. And then next up on the list are the system setting redesigns. And so there they have went in on the visual side, tried to clean things up. They're implementing the KDE Kirigami framework to make things look better. I think also what they're doing, the way they're grouping things, which we will take a look at here, especially on the theming side. So right now it's covering icons, desktop themes, cursor themes, and now you can download splash screens, new splash screens, and set those up. The other thing I really like is the fonts page, because now you get previews, and as you make those adjustments, those previews really help you out with kind of what you're wanting to choose, and you can do it all from one location. So enough talking about it. Let's jump on over into system settings. All right, so we'll move on over here. And the first thing that you see, and if it's been some time since you've used any OS with KDE, with Plasma, and you jump into settings, this has been cleaned up over time. Things are much easier to navigate than they used to be. I mean, if it's been a year or two since you've used KDE, then you'll see some drastic changes here in place as we go through a few things. Now, I could spend an eternity going through all the settings here, and that's one of the things that I really appreciate about KDE. You can go in and configure things to your heart's content, and you can really tweak this out in ways that I can't think of another desktop. XFCE gets close in a lot of areas, but still can't touch the customization and the settings involvement with KDE. So now one of the first things here that's kind of new and coming in, and I think it helps, is you see frequently used settings. So if you use look and feel a lot, or if there's other settings that you're in there adjusting frequently, those should show up here. And I haven't tested to see if they repopulate. This just may be that, hey, they say that they see from user feedback or whatever that these are the most frequently used, and what you see is what you get. My hope is that what will happen here is that over time, as I'm using other settings, they'll show up here in frequently used so that you have quick access to it. Now, some of the other areas here, and we talked about fonts, so let's go to that. So if you go in to change things within your font area, and this is an area where I think KDE's always done a good job as far as giving you control over the fonts. If you go in and you choose, let's see, wait a minute, let me back up over here. So in the beginning we had vendor default, so that's what you're going to see in the beginning. But if you go in and you enable this, now I'm not getting it now for some reason. Here we go. So you see vendor default. So okay, for some reason here I'm not getting what I thought I was with this first setting. But at any rate, let's go on down to sub-pixel rendering, and what you'll see here now is a selection of text, and you can choose which one looks best for your particular monitor. In this case, it's RGB, and then the same way with hinting style. And maybe I've lost it. Okay, I've lost my mind here. Maybe you only had this option within sub-pixel rendering and then the hinting style. And so anyway, so here we see the same, where you could go in and choose slight, medium, or full, and you can actually tell a difference. This may not show up on the video, but I see it here, and I'm going to go with slight. and it does improve things. Now usually when you make these changes, it's best to log out and log back in. So again, a very nice refinement and addition to 5.13. Then let's go over to Workspace Theme, and then we'll go on down. You see Look and Feel here, so you can install new looks from here, but you can also do that from Discover, and I love that it's all integrated into Discover, so I look forward to sharing Discover with you here in just a moment. Alright, let's move over to Desktop Theme, and then from there you'll see that you can go in and get new themes here. Now that's not new, it's just that everything looks better as you start to move through this settings area. Also, the way things are categorized over here on the left, it does make it easier to navigate. Now let's go back to Look and Feel. Now let's see here. Okay, I'm going to jump around a minute. Let's go over to Icons. Now this area is different. You see this now is kind of in a box, and so as you add the icon packs, and you see that that's kind of scrolling through. Look at that animation as I well, let's see if we'll do it again here. There we go. And that way you don't have this, you know, large page with all these icons spread out. Everything's contained, nice and neat, and you can see what the various icons are going to look like. And you see that animation there. So again, really, really nice refinement. You can also configure your icon sizes from here or get new icons from here as well. All right, let's go back over to Application Style, and let's see here if there's anything new there. That looks about the same. Window decorations. Maybe that's a little different with the way things are highlighted. Let's go back up here to, let's just go ahead and discard that. Workspace Theme. And I want to look for splash screen. There we go. So from here you could add a new splash screen. Or again, you can do that from Discover. And here we go. This is also the same kind of grouping that you saw within the icons. Now everything's kind of in a box. And as you highlight, you just get, again, a more refined look. You can kind of just see exactly where you are and what you've highlighted. So I think as time goes, we'll see that in place here with the rest of the settings area. And then we have KDE Connect down here. So I haven't set that up yet. Again, this is a fresh install, so I'm going to get to that because there's some new things in KDE which I can't show you right now. But KDE Connect, excuse me, continues to improve and is really, I think, one of the shining stars. You know, now you see it being used in other desktop environments where the GNOME desktop has their own thing going there, and all of this again. This idea, this implementation first started really in full force with KDE. So that's one of the shining stars there. All right, so from there, let's jump back over, and we'll move on down here to the new look and login screens. So you can download new login screens, and it's got a nice new look to it. We'll kind of zoom in there. You know, you get some kind of blur effect and new effects with everything. And a lot of this visual stuff, I know many of you are saying, hey, that doesn't, you know, do anything for the speed of my system or anything like that. And you're right, it doesn't. But again, this stuff can be turned off or turned on or maximized to a point where you could be full on animation if you wanted to. Let's face it, some people are really into that. They like, you know, wobbly windows and all of that stuff. And so just having that option here within KDE, having more refined options with blur effect and things like that, I think is positive. So, all right, moving on. And this is where they get into some of that here, where you have Compositor KWin has been approved for effects for blur and desktop switching. So, excuse me, you can also, let's see here, it's going to add support for screencast and desktop sharing. So, and then next up is Discover. So I definitely want to spend a little time here. Excuse me. Discover is one of those bits of KDE when it first came out. It was clunky, and I've said this before in other videos, so I'll skip over it. Needless to say, I wasn't impressed, and they have continued to just work hard. And I think Discover now is about 99% of the way there. They've done some things to clean up the look, the feel, the searching. They're using their Kirigami UI framework, and all of that. We're going to see this in list and everything. Snap support is there. That was there previously. And just again, we're going to jump right over and take a look at Discover. So at first glance with Discover, when I first launched into the updated version, I thought, it doesn't look that different. But if you go back and you start looking at some early on shots of Discover itself, just go do a screenshot, or excuse me, do an image search for KDE Discover and look at some earlier shots. You'll see some of the refinements that are in place. And so now everything here is in kind of a bar. It's not one large print with lots of text until you click in, and then here it's the same thing. It just really looks more polished, more professional. There's a ton of information over here, so when you click on a particular app, depending on the app, so if we go to Kde here, you'll see, for example, lots of photos here that you can scroll through and visually see what the app is all about, what it looks like. If you click on one of those images, we'll see here that'll pull in full screen, and then you can navigate from there, and it's going to pull that image in. So well done there. And then you get a nice description. Down here below, you have the below the description, you'll have the reviews. So you can click right into all of the reviews with a star rating. So good feedback there. And then you see at the bottom here the version number, the size, the source, the license, a link to the home page, user guide, and the ever important donate. Now that's going to vary a little from app to app that's built in here. So all of that is, it's for someone new. And I know many of you, and this is where I kind of struggle. I know many of you, you're going to do it. You're going to obtain your software various ways, depending on which distribution you're running. And I know many of you are old school and you're going to go through the terminal and do installations that way. Maybe, if you're running Fedora, you're just going to download an RPM and do it that way. For new users, I think this kind of thing here that we're seeing with Discover is key, because it allows someone to easily figure out what's going on, what the software is, what it's all about, what does it do. I mean, you got digital painting, creative freedom. Okay, that'll give you an idea that Kde is, maybe it's art tool or whatever. But Blender, what's Blender? I don't know. What's Blender? So, you could jump in and get an idea here. So my point is, if you didn't have an interface like this for someone new, and they had to spend time going out and searching and looking for deb packages or RPM packages or whatever, it would be a difficult road for someone to kind of get into Linux. This is going to help. Then you take it another step, you've got application add-ons. So from there you could get splash screens, and that's what's new there. So there's already a pretty good population of splash screens in place. Transition wipes for Kden Live, Kden Live templates, Kden Live render profiles, and I love seeing all this here, Kate snippets. And then if you get into Plasma add-ons, this is where a lot of your theming and your icons, your look and feel themes, and all of that is going to populate right here. Alright, so moving on from there, let's jump back over here and let's talk about much more. So other changes include the tech preview of GTK Global Menu Integration, and you'll see this here. Actually, yeah, there you go. You see that there. Alright, close out. Let's go back. Redesign media player widgets. Plasma calendar plugin for astronomical events, lunar phases, if you're into all of that. The XDG desktop portal for KDE. That way you get the integration with Flatpak and Snap applications. So again, that's allowing you to kind of fully interact with everything within the desktop environment and /OS. The digital clock widget allows copying of the current date. I did look at that. I thought, wow, that's kind of funny. So if you right click and you go to copy to keyboard, or excuse me, copy to keyboard. So if you right click and then come up to copy to clipboard, what you're going to get is a rundown here of different layouts of the time and date. So you could copy that right to the clipboard. And in the future, maybe you can copy this directly to the keyboard. That would be interesting. All right, so notification pop-up has a button to clear the history, which is good. And then more KRunner plugins. The mouse system settings page has been rewritten. Plasma Vault has a new CryFS backend. Commands to remotely close open vaults with KDE Connect, offline vaults, and a more polished interface and better error reporting. I'm probably going to do at some point a video just on vaults alone, and then a new dialog pop-up when you first plug in an external monitor. Yeah, that new actually I've got this connected, to an external monitor, and this is sweet. So when you hover over, and you don't see it here, but as you hover over, you get a little pop-up telling you which monitor it is. So it takes the guesswork out of what it is and visually you can see this. So this is your laptop. That's your external monitor, and you're just going to go solo to that external monitor, and then vice versa here. So, visually you can see it, but you also get a little pop-up at the bottom telling you what it is you're selecting. So that's nice. And a good refinement. So pop-ups in the panel open faster due to a new preloading mechanism, and then Plasma has gained the ability to fall back to software rendering if OpenGL drivers fail. Alright, so I told you at the beginning of the video, here at the end, I would kind of give you a mini review of KDE Neon. I've used this for some time now. I'm going to think back here. I've used it for probably going on a month now, at least. And this is a brand new fresh install. I'm going to build this up and move on with this fresh install. And you know what? If you're looking for a video where somebody's going to come in and nitpick a million little things about what they don't like, I'm not going to do that here. There's not that many things that I don't like about KDE Neon. Quite frankly, there is so much to love about KDE Neon. Is it perfect? No. Is there room for improvement? You bet. And I think there will always be. I don't know that you'll ever find a desktop operating system that's going to be perfect. Now, there's a lot of activity going on within the KDE development universe, if you will. And if you follow along for a week or two, you'll see that this is a desktop environment that is going places. They're doing things. Some of the things like, this recent update are subtle. They're refinements. They're maybe considered small things even. But with each release, you start to see a pattern of how KDE is not the desktop that it was, 3-4 years ago even. If it's been a couple of years since you've tried KDE, I highly recommend that you would give KDE Neon a look. If you are someone new to Linux and you're looking for a desktop environment, you're looking for an operating system / desktop environment that you'd be comfortable with, say, coming from Windows, I would say that KDE Neon would be an excellent choice for you, and that the KDE Plasma desktop environment would be something that you could configure to look and act closer to Windows. And I would throw XFCE into the mix there as well and give you that familiar interface. So to sum things up here, I'm going to continue with KDE Neon. I look forward to kind of theming this out and building this up. And I've had a couple people ask me recently what my daily driver is. Well, you're looking at it, KDE Neon. I'm that happy with it. It's been, for the most part, with the exception of just a minor little hiccup here or there, it has been rock solid. Now we'll see what happens with this new version. I expect it to be the same. Like I say, fresh install here. Maybe in a week I'm reporting to you that it's been a monumental failure. I don't expect that. So right now, if I were to say anything negative, it would be that from time to time you'll get a weird little action or something. A window will hang. An application won't close out right away. Very, very minor. Nothing involving system errors or system crashes or anything. The speed has been good. It's not, blindingly fast like, some of the super light distros with, XFCE or OpenBox or something like that. But very acceptable there. And with these minor refinements and improvements to KDE within Neon, they come frequently. These guys aren't resting, and thank you so much, KDE team, for all of your work. So that's kind of my wrap up there. 2 thumbs up from Linux Quest for KDE Neon. And I think that this is going to continue to grow in popularity. And if you don't believe me, just give it a spin. All right, well, thanks for watching. I hope this video has been helpful, and we will check you later.